In the headlines, Prime Minister Skerrit says Dominica is open to the possibility of increasing its stake in Liat. A call to implement safety measures for vulnerable groups this hurricane season. And a significant home and church reconstruction project underway. I'm Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, Dominica could be considering taking an increased stake in Liat. Julian Morris reports.
Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown alluded to the possibility as he addressed the Liat issue at a press conference marking the end of the 67th meeting of the OECS authority held in Antigua. Brown says there are discussions with other participants. The idea is to broaden participation in Liat to have it function as a truly regional institution, not to be dominated by any one country. Antigua has offered to take over a majority of the debts of Barbados as it relates to Liat. Brown says Barbados is unable to carry the debt at the CDB as it is in an IMF program.
I believe firmly that Liat has a very important role to play in the region. Like every other institution, organization, it has its own challenges, but we cannot preoccupy ourselves only with challenges and not look at the benefit and the implications for our region if Liat were to cease operations. Yes, we can maybe get from Antigua to the UK, but if you want to go to Barbados, are you going to go to the UK and then go to Barbados? You know, if you have to transact business. And in many of these countries, you have regional institutions resident in a particular country, and which citizens, ordinary average citizens, will need to travel between these islands to get to these regional institutions and international institutions. So the role that Liat plays is very important. And Dominica will continue to be a shareholder, and we are not opposed at all. As a matter of fact, I would say in a positive, we are in support of Dominica playing an even bigger role in Liat. Liat is too important for us not to do whatever we have to do as governments and countries and institutions. I also believe too that the Caribbean Hotel Association, the people who are one of the major beneficiaries of Liat, need to step up, you know, and as a consortium, you know, how much can you invest? I mean, as small as it is, it will go a long way in assisting Liat in its sustainability and its sustenance.
Mr. Skerrit says Dominica remains firmly committed to Liat's survival.
So we have to look at things in a very pragmatic way and not in a pessimistic way. And I am a strong supporter of Liat, and as difficult as things may be for a country reconstructing and rebuilding after a hurricane, that is part of our survival, and a very critical part of our survival. And in Dominica's case, we have about 6 or so hotels under construction, many of which will be completed this year. And we have to ensure that we can bring in people to these resorts, to these hotels, and to our country. And Liat, you cannot remove Liat from the equation, you know. So I think once Antigua would have settled these negotiations with Barbados, Dominica would certainly like to engage in a discussion on how do we go forward in respect to the further apportioning of shares in Liat. And I also believe to that my regional colleagues, I have recognized a couple have played a part, but we need to go beyond that as well and to consolidate their participation. But it is not enough to just say, well, Liat is this, Liat is that, and therefore, and come to the table. If you're not around the table, it's going to be very difficult for you to influence the decisions. And so if you're party to negotiations, if you're party to something, then the ideas that you have, the ideas which you have, can very well find themselves turn into decisions and actions. But this hackneyed complaints about Liat and Liat this and that, that's not going to solve a problem.
In more top stories, a large-scale home and church reconstruction project as Dominica continues preparing in the 2019 hurricane season. Secure housing remains a concern for the country since a large percentage of houses was either destroyed or severely damaged by Hurricane Maria, and to date, many houses are still uncovered and damaged. This reconstruction project is being undertaken by Samaritan's Purse, which has been on island since shortly after the storm. Though the organization has been helping with home repairs since the early days, it has also supported other areas of recovery.
There's a lot that has been happening over the course of this year and a lot that will continue to be happening for the rest of 2019. The initial part of this year, then we were focused very much on livelihoods, helping to restore fisheries and fishing co-ops, helping to build back the poultry industry of Dominica, assisting with the construction of 50 greenhouses across the island to help with horticulture and agriculture. So all of those have been a strong focus of what we've been doing. Those programs are wrapped up or are currently in the process of wrapping up. And so the other big focus that we have is the reconstruction of homes and churches, and that is going to be continuing through at least the end of this year.
The house reconstruction project is focused mainly in the north of the country, while the church repair project is island-wide. Samaritan's Purse has not set a target number of buildings to repair, but plans to do as much as it possibly can. The best building code practices are also being employed in the construction and renovation project.
But there are some great designs that exist that have been pioneered across the world, some here in the Caribbean, some in Florida. And so we're taking every resource that we possibly can to make sure that the designs and the construction are utilizing the most advanced materials and the most advanced techniques that we have available to us right now. The manager of the home reconstruction program has significant experience with the construction of homes, and so in that program as well, we're utilizing, we're going, I'd say, above and beyond what would be normative for the construction of frames, and we're just really trying to make sure that these are as secure as we can possibly make them.
Though some remain anxious about their state of housing during the 2019 hurricane season, the country is being assured that the best will be done to provide secure structures for those in need.
Our pressure comes from just the desire to make sure that we are doing the best job that we possibly can in the quickest time we possibly can. And so, there's nothing that would hurry us up beyond the point of maintaining the quality that we have become very proud of along the way. But at the same time, it's always in us to try and do more and to do more quickly. Something that we've talked about with our staff here consistently is, we want to make sure if we're putting up a roof, it needs to be done right. It's incredibly important, not just because we're entering into hurricane season, but because just from a general perspective, we want people to have the shelter that they need.
In more developments, an appeal for special attention on one of Dominica's increasing vulnerable groups. Team leader for the International Organization for Migration, IOM, Jan Willem-Wegdam, says a number of migrants have come to Dominica since Hurricane Maria, and the numbers keep growing. As a result, measures should be put in place to ensure their safety in times of disaster.
I also want to ask attention for an increasing phenomenon, which is that there are more and more migrants arriving in Dominica. And as the Organization for Migration, of course, would like to ask attention also for that group, which are special vulnerable in times of disaster. So let's see how we can prepare them, but also Dominica, to support them in times of a disaster.
As the country continues to build resilience and prepare for the hurricane season, one suggestion is continued counseling for those who need it.
We also saw during the trainings in psychosocial support that there are still some people in Dominica that could use some psychosocial counseling, love, and attention.
In more news, the hospitality class at the Dominica State College received immediate feedback on a luncheon held on Thursday. Julian Morris has that story.
Staff at the State College had the privilege to sample the three-course meal prepared by the food and beverage class, which only lasted about 2 weeks. The compliments mixed with advice which came from their guests would have served to encourage the culinary class to keep focused on being the best at what they do. The students are being trained at a time when Dominica is preparing to staff a number of five-star hotels now under construction.
I know you might have been under a lot of pressure to prepare the menu, to set up the table, and to serve us in a professional manner. You did well. Of course, you are still learning, so there is much that you would need to learn from, and I'm sure Ms. Julian would give you a feedback in terms of your performance. But let me just say that it was an enjoyable luncheon and presentation.
I could tell them that they've done a good job, but they expect it from me because I'm their lecturer. But seeing that you came out to support and you actually enjoyed their meals, I think it means a lot to them. I'd just like to congratulate them. Teaching to cook in 2 weeks wasn't an easy task.
My favorite course was dessert, so I just completed the dessert and it was quite tasty. It was quite different. The cheesecake was crustless and I appreciated that. That was nice. And seeing that you all just had a few weeks, 2 weeks, right, in this course, it's a summer course. I really want to congratulate you for being able to pull this off.
Funds received under the 10th EDF EU funding project, which supports the East Caribbean Institute of Tourism, was used to procure much-needed appliances for the food and beverage course. Facilities for the DSC's hospitality program were destroyed by Hurricane Maria.
You're watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Sim tout partout. Attention si vous êtes homme et bien femme. Visitez place santé pour examiner corps. Ça c'est un nid pour yo ouais si la ni pièce moun au lion qui ni maladie TB et bien maladie sexuelle. En compagnie moun qui ni maladie HIV pe ni TB aussi. Savent qui la ni guérison pour TB. Ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Parlez by docteur. Prends responsabilité. Aidez du bout de sime maladie TB et HIV. Ou agir tout le monde pour examiner corps yo.
Welcome back. Pollster Alex Bruno has responded to statements that his latest poll results are tainted because of his political affiliation and its source of funding. Former Freedom Party Press Secretary Parry Bellot made reference to pollster Peter Wickham as he sought to show the disparity between the men's work, appearing to discredit Bruno's poll results, which showed the UWP winning if elections were held presently.
The difference between, say, Peter Wickham is a noted pollster going back perhaps about 2 decades. He has a reputation to protect. Alex Bruno does not have a reputation in taking polls to any great degree, apart from in Dominica. I think he took one a few months ago, a year ago, or so on. Peter Wickham cannot cook his poll, so to speak, to suit whoever is paying him, like, say, the Prime Minister, because his reputation is at stake. But Alex Bruno can say and do whatever, especially when somebody is paying him directly to do that.
Alex Bruno says some of his critics are pushing a partisan agenda.
Professionals put a lot of pride in the work that they do. I respect and understand and even defend Peter. I believe he's a fine professional. And others should respect and understand the work that I do too, even if they have partisan interests and reasons not to want to accept the results of my work. The fact is, you criticize the work on its merit, trying to demean me or discredit me as an individual, as someone who is proficient to do what I do, is not going to cut it, because when you do so, you are doing so at your own peril, because the people whom we interviewed know what responses they gave to us, and they could attest to the fact that we conducted a very fair, thorough, and professional undertaking. So I'm not too perturbed about Mr. Bellot trying to make little of my work. At the end of the day, the results of my work will hold true, because I was true to the profession, and proper scientific ethics was brought to bear on the work that we did. I really have nothing to say again in that area.
Mr. Bruno has also responded to questions surrounding the source of funding for his poll.
The people who funded the poll that I conducted are individuals who would rather remain anonymous. But I can say they are very highly placed in our society. They're quite reputable and greatly respected, and they certainly have interest in the political affairs of our country. And I was happy to work on their behalf, and I have presented the information to them, or my findings to them, and I dare say that they are satisfied with the work that I've done, and I'm looking forward to working with them again in the future.
Dominica now has a new amateur radio club. Here is Julian Morris with more.
The Waitukubuli Amateur Radio Association WARA now joins the Dominica Amateur Radio Club Inc. Darcy in providing amateur radio classes and services to the public. Education Officer with WARA John Christian says one of the main aims of the new organization is using technology to make amateur radio more accessible to interested individuals.
WARA really was born out of a need to move on, to take amateur radio to another level. And the previous club really didn't see what we wanted to do. So the formation of the club really started in earnest in January of this year. So the club, the work got started by two members, that's Wayne Abraham and Mr. John Mitchell. So it is now registered, and we have almost everything online.
Opening an online school to increase its reach around Dominica and the region is also on WARA's cards.
The thing about it is we wanted to use technology to assist us, and that is what we're really about. So we have an online school, we're having meetings online, the website, we have a website, and on there we'll be posting articles, videos, information on anything that you would really like to know about amateur radio. And as we speak, we are now waiting for the NTRC to give us their blessings to go on with the online school. Well, as we speak, we have a registration of about 20 students waiting to start the online school.
In order to keep up with the times and improve resilience, WARA also plans on incorporating digital communication in the wider scheme of its operations.
Post-Maria, about 3 of us, that's what we use to assist us in passing critical messages across to the EOC. So we intend to continue along that path. and to bring others on board so as to understand the importance of digital communications. We intend to explore the full spectrum of digital comms in Dominica, and we're all really pushing. We're not about competition, but we're about taking amateur radio to another level in Dominica.
More information on the new amateur radio club can be found on their website, warainc.org.
And Plant Production and Protection Officer with the FAO, Dr. Virgil Lopez, says alternatives to highly hazardous pesticides, HHPs, in vegetable, pest and disease management are being researched.
This is being done with a view to promoting those alternatives along with other integrated pest management practices. The ultimate goal is less exposure by humans and the environment to toxic chemicals and residues. Dr. Lopez made the comments during the 23rd meeting of the Coordinating Group of Pesticides Control Boards of the Caribbean, CGPC, held in Suriname this month. The main objective is to promote the sound management of pesticides in the Caribbean throughout their life cycle in ways that lead to minimization of significant adverse effects on human health and the global environment. Under the project, one of the most significant and important achievements was the repackaging, safeguarding and exporting of 319 tons of obsolete pesticides and associated hazardous waste from participating countries for environmentally sound destruction in the United Kingdom.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
To end the news, the headlines again. Prime Minister Skyrit says Dominica is open to the possibility of increasing its stake in LIAT. A call to implement safety measures for vulnerable groups this hurricane season. And a significant home and church reconstruction project underway. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend.